Hello lords and ladies, welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon. A few of you, and by that I mean one guy, have repeatedly requested, and by that I mean obsessively demanded, that I take a gander at the latest season of Spongebob SquarePants so I can give my 2 cents on its quality. Well, fear not. Ask and you shall receive months later. Alright, so let's go ahead and see how good this new season really is. Alright, starting off pretty normal here for a Spongebob episode. Well, those are some weird faces, but still not completely off the rails here. Holy Mother of Neptune! Oh my god, what even is this episode? I'm high right now, aren't I? I'm not actually watching an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, I've just accidentally taken some LSD I keep around for a good time. Right? Right? No? Okay, no, I guess I'm not high at the moment. What a shame. Okay, since I'm not experiencing the effects of LSD, I guess I should talk about this. First off, this is an incredibly disturbing episode, and one I don't particularly associate with the SpongeBob SquarePants brand. It doesn't come off as something the writers would seriously include, and yet here we are. I'm not even saying it's horrible, it's just that this is not a typical SpongeBob episode. That could work out in the show's favor if anyone is starting to feel fatigue, or maybe you'll draw in new viewers, mostly of the kid variety, obviously. There's actually a thought that crossed my mind while I watched the episode. The humor displayed here really felt more in line with the comedy you might see in more modern cartoons. Personally, I was too busy being in shock to really decide whether I liked or disliked the episode. On the one hand, it was so shockingly disturbing and weird that it made me question my own sanity, but on the other, it also makes me think that there's some nugget of truth to the fans' complaint over a decline in quality. If this is SpongeBob now, it's not really anything more than empty space and pandering. Sure, that may align with young kids watching it now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's good. That logic would mean the most horribly designed children's game is somehow free of criticism because, hey, it's for kids! And I don't really fly that way. Still, at the end of the day, I don't think Whirly Brains was an awful episode. I just felt it was far and away not what I consider SpongeBob SquarePants, and leaves me somewhat worried over the future of this franchise. But what were your thoughts on the episode? Do you share my concerns, or did you enjoy the episode? Share those thoughts and more down below in the comments. And if you have time, please check out the GoFundMe account I set up to help my family cover the costs of the custody battle for my niece. My family would really appreciate the support. Thanks for watching, and take care. Hello lords and ladies, welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon. Does it feel like we're getting shorter but more frequent SpongeBob seasons? Because I haven't even finished airing all of season 10, but 11's already here without too much fanfare. But then again, I record these things and I skip the commercials, so I guess I wouldn't really know if this has always been a problem or not. But it seems to take forever for certain Nick shows to air all their episodes. Let's get to the actual review though, starting with Spot Returns. I don't think I saw the episode where Plankton actually got Spot, so I guess I'm missing out a little with his return. As far as episodes go, it's not a bad one. There's a lot of humor involved in Plankton trying to turn a bunch of amoeba puppies into safecrackers to steal the Krabby Patty formula, especially when Patrick shows up as the dog of Mr. Krabs. That's beyond silly, almost something I wouldn't expect from the show, but instead something like Family Guy. But that's what SpongeBob has become, hasn't it? I talked about this a little bit in the last review I did, how the show's writing and comedy has changed over the years. It almost has to when you have a show going on for near 20 years. Sometimes that change can be bad, like with Family Guy, where the characters have been almost ruined personality-wise. Other times it's more benign, welcome even. Spot Return seems to be more of a mix of the old and new styles of SpongeBob, as opposed to the episode I saw last, which was Whirly Brain, which was largely the new style at work, in my opinion. You get moments like the aforementioned amoeba dogs, a joke that I'd imagine even in the older seasons of SpongeBob, but then you get the whole Patrick being a dog scene. I think it helps ease people in, though that's coming from someone who has been in and out of the show for several years now. Personally, if they keep a decent mix of old and new, then maybe I won't be as weirded out by this season like I was with the last. Other than that, the episode progresses as you imagine it would. Plankton gets the formula, and SpongeBob tosses his eye at Karen to distract Plankton. The bad guy is foiled once again, and we end on a funny moment. Nothing really else to comment on. It's a funny episode. Moving on to the next half of the episode, we've got the checkup. This has got to be the shining moment of this first episode of Season 11. Its wackiness isn't too out there, although it's still very indicative of the new direction, and manages to come across as downright hilarious most of the time. The Krusty Krab employees are faced with passing the yearly physical or the restaurant will be shut down. SpongeBob and Squidward pass with flying colors, but Mr. Krabs refuses out of intense fear. If I have any criticism for the checkup, it's how out of character Mr. Krabs feels. He's lazy, cheap, and greedy, but he's no chicken, yet the episode paints him as that. Obviously, this is done in order to facilitate the plot of the episode along with the many silly situations the characters get into, trying to secretly give Mr. Krabs his physical, and I'll admit, it was all very funny, but the idea of a character fearing a physical seems more up SpongeBob's alley, not Mr. Krabs. What the episode does right, and this is where I'm torn on wanting SpongeBob to be the fearful one, is putting SpongeBob in some very different roles and personas for his voice actor to portray. It really stretches Tom Kenny's acting chops to give voice to so many weird disguises SpongeBob inhabits during this episode's events. He gets to voice SpongeBob as a hippie masseuse, an old-timey photographer, and a tailor. It's quite frankly some of the funniest moments in the episode. Next to Mr. Krabs getting hit with so many x-rays, he ends up being radiated as a result. I want to see more comedy like this in Season 11. I've got a little more faith in this latest season of SpongeBob after watching this first episode, and I hope that renewed faith isn't let down by the remaining episodes. But what about you, lords and ladies? What were your thoughts on the new SpongeBob? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and you can obviously watch new episodes of SpongeBob on Nickelodeon. I don't think I even need to really state that. While you're still here, go ahead and check out my merch store and Patreon if you'd like to support my channel. Thanks for watching, and take care. Hello lords and ladies, welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon. As per the fan request of Michael, I'll be talking about episode 9B of SpongeBob Season 11, Scavenger Hunt. Sorry it's taken me weeks to get around to it. So in this episode, Squidward is once again sick of SpongeBob and Patrick invading his home, causing a mess, and just outright annoying him. So he sends them on a series of scavenger hunts for increasingly harder to find items. As episodes go, this is pretty much a standard SpongeBob episode, right down to the typical formula of annoyed Squidward equals getting SpongeBob and Patrick to do something which blows up in his face at the end. It's the items he asks for that the comedy obviously derives from. A sandwich, misinterpreted as a sandwich, and then flipped on its head when she actually conjures one, a boxing flower that beats up Squidward, the Loch Ness Monster, and finally his long-lost brother. A few of the items aren't completely original, especially when they sort of reuse the same joke for two of the items. The trip to get the Loch Ness Monster is more funny than them bringing one back, as you can see that both characters are on a boat upside down. I thought that was fairly amusing. And of course, how SpongeBob and Patrick finally managed to bring Squidward his brother back is very funny. You'll see it coming very quickly, but it still gets some laughs from me. All in all, this is not too different from what you would expect from the franchise at this point. It follows a formula almost to the letter, only slightly veering off for a good joke or two, but otherwise it's an entertaining addition to the season. Check it out if you're curious. Thanks again to Michael for requesting the episode, and if anyone has something they'd love to see me review, please let me know down below. And while you're down there, check the links to my Patreon where you get early access to videos, or my Spreadshirt account where you can get some Archaic King merch. Thanks for watching, and take care.
Cartoon Hangout Season 4! In half! Your place for all things cartoon.
Hello, lords and ladies. Welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon. I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the channel before, but over on my Twitter, I've said several times that I thought Kamp Koral was a weird idea for a spinoff. That it didn't make sense for Sandy Cheeks to be in that show, given that Spongebob doesn't meet her until later on. I think that was a sentiment shared by a lot of fans as well. There's also the idea that the creator of Spongebob didn't want spinoffs in the first place, and then Nick announced some after his death. Obviously, that didn't sit well with fans either. Well, a couple of days ago, Paramount Plus released Kamp Koral, and largely due to boredom, I watched it. And honestly, while nothing spectacular, it wasn't really that terrible. I mean, at least the first episode, because that's all I saw. It even made me laugh at a few points, which I wasn't expecting. Plus, young Patrick in the show is kind of adorable. I suppose my only criticism from what I saw is that the CG is kind of plasticky, if that makes sense. Although that might be the intention. But yeah, I didn't hate it. If it were a show regularly airing on TV and it wasn't just restricted to streaming on Paramount Plus, I wouldn't change the channel if it came on. But that isn't why I realized I was wrong about the show. I mean, that was part of it, sure, but the other was my somewhat bigger complaint. Sandy. Yes, I know, SpongeBob continuity, what's that? It's just something that personally bugged me, okay? Why was she there? Was it going to be explained away a la Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball, where she loses her memories of meeting SpongeBob? Well, even though I could only watch episode 1, someone on Twitter showed me a clip from episode 4, I believe, and it reveals how Sandy is at camp with the others. And it's honestly a more clever twist than I was expecting from Kamp Koral or Nickelodeon. In case you don't want to be spoiled, in which case, feel free to end the video here and go about your day, but for those who are curious, I'll let you in on the secret. So, the reason why Sandy is meeting SpongeBob much earlier than is canon is because adult Sandy has sent her younger self to the camp to stop Plankton from stealing the Krabby Patty. Or something along those lines. I haven't seen the full episode, mind you. When I watched that clip, I was like, oh, that's not really that dumb an explanation. Now, your mileage could vary, but that helped turn me around a bit. There's still some stuff that is off-putting about the show here and there, plus I do still think its existence is a big ol' why, but the show doesn't really seem too bad, and they did adequately explain Sandy's appearance on the show, even though there wouldn't need to be one if they just simply didn't add her to the show. And that is why I was wrong about Kamp Koral. It's hard to admit when you're wrong about something, but in this instance, I was, and I felt I should say something. If this has changed your mind on watching the show, the first episode is free on Paramount Plus's YouTube channel for you to see if you're interested in more. If you've already seen the show so far, please let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Also, consider subscribing for more cartoon content or becoming a patron on my Patreon, which is linked down below, hopefully, to get videos earlier and vote on polls and yada 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 and that stuff. Thanks for watching, and take care.